My name is Clara, and I'm 32 years old. If you asked my family to describe me, they'd probably say I'm the quiet one, the responsible, sensible sister who always knows what she's doing. The truth is, I've spent my whole life being invisible next to someone brighter. My younger sister, Melinda, 28, has always been the favorite child. I'm a programmer, have been for almost a decade now. I started small freelancing from my cramped apartment, writing lines of code until my eyes burned. Over the years, I built a small remote team. We create mobile apps, the kind you probably have sitting unnoticed on your phone screen. It's not glamorous, but it's steady and it's mine. I've poured everything into it, my time, my savings, my sanity. Melinda, on the other hand, was born under a spotlight. Since we were kids, our parents treated her like a little star. She wanted, she got. When she was 14 and begged for a new iPhone, they bought it the next day. When I asked for a laptop for school, they told me to learn responsibility and get a part-time job. So I did. I spent my high school years wiping tables and serving coffee after class, saving every cent I could while Melinda lounged at home scrolling through fashion magazines. That imbalance never changed. Even as adults, I was still the one who had to earn everything, while Melinda lived as if life owed her applause. When she wanted money, she just asked. From my parents, from friends, and from me. And somehow I always gave it. Because I was her sister. Because family, as my mom always said, means helping each other no matter what. It's funny how helping each other always meant me helping her. 3 years ago, I made one of the biggest purchases of my life, a small office space on the first floor of a modern building downtown. Nothing luxurious, just a modest 1,000 square foot room with good lighting and decent rent. For me, it represented everything I'd worked for. I could finally bring my scattered team together, have real desks, whiteboards, a shared energy. The day I signed the papers, I remember feeling proud, quietly proud, the kind of pride that doesn't need applause. I'd done this all on my own. But then Melinda found out. She came over that night, eyes already glistening before she even said hello. I knew that look. It meant I was about to lose something. "Clara, I really need to talk to you," she said, voice trembling, just enough to sound sincere. "My boutique, it's doing so well, but my location is killing me. The rent is high, the foot traffic is low. I found out about your new office and I was wondering—" She trailed off, dabbing the corner of her eyes with a tissue she'd conveniently brought along. "Could I use it? Just for a year. I promise I'll move out once I'm stable. You'd be saving me." Her words sank into me like guilt-laced hooks. I hesitated. That office was my dream. But she looked so desperate, mascara-smudged shoulders trembling. 1 year I repeated more to myself than to her. "You'll move out after that." She nodded rapidly. "Absolutely. I'll even help you with the utilities." I should have known better. That night I barely slept. My mind kept trying to convince my heart that helping her was the right thing to do, that family mattered more than inconvenience. By sunrise I'd made up my mind. I called her the next morning and said yes. I told my team the office plan was delayed. Again. The first few weeks after Melinda moved in, I tried to believe I'd done something good. I told myself it was temporary. But deep down, something uneasy stirred the same feeling I used to get as a kid when she'd smile sweetly before taking the last cookie. One afternoon, I stopped by to drop off mail for the property. Melinda was there, chatting with a client, surrounded by racks of designer clothes and the soft hum of background music. She looked radiant, perfectly styled, greeting customers like she owned the world. "Clara," she said, flashing her teeth in that charming way she used to get out of trouble. "You came at a busy time. Everything's going great. This space is perfect." Perfect. The word stung. I wanted to be happy for her, but all I could see was my dream office, my empty desks, my unassembled team now turned into her boutique showroom. That was the start of 3 very long years. Melinda stayed. She didn't pay rent, utilities, or property tax. I covered everything. Each time I tried to bring it up, she had an excuse. Business is slow, unexpected expenses next month for sure. Her voice always cracked, just enough to make me back down. And every few months she'd call for more money, always with the same tone, soft pleading, helpless. "Just this once, Clara. You know I'll pay you back." She never did. 6 months ago, I sent her $5,000 to cover suppliers. A month ago, another $10,000. That brought the total to a number I didn't want to calculate. And still I said nothing. Because that's what I'd always done. Carried the burden, stayed silent, smiled when it hurt. But even patience has an expiration date. I didn't know it then, but my breaking point was coming. And when it came, it wouldn't just destroy the illusion of family harmony, it would reveal exactly how deep the rot went. She promised she'd only need it for 1 year. I believed her because I always believed my sister. That was the last time I made that mistake. It started with something as harmless as a family group chat, a thread that had existed for years, filled with emojis, casual gossip, and holiday plans. I never paid much attention to it, but that day I wish I had muted it forever. It was early October. My team had just finished a massive project, and I was finally allowing myself a rare, quiet evening takeout noodles, a blanket, and a movie half-watched, while my mind drifted between exhaustion and relief. Then my phone buzzed. The screen lit up with family group chat. Mom was talking about Christmas. My aunt was already debating gift themes, my cousins suggesting destinations, everyone joking around. I smiled, typed a polite reply, then casually suggested, "Maybe this year we can give slightly more meaningful gifts. We're all doing well now. It'd be nice to make it special." Nothing dramatic, just a simple thought. Then Melinda replied, "Don't expect any expensive gifts from me, Clara. I've already done enough for your business." I froze. The sentence glared at me from the screen, burning itself into my mind. I stared, waiting for someone, anyone, to say something. No one did. Then I tried to type a reply, but the chat disappeared. I blinked. Tried again. Message not delivered. That's when I realized she'd blocked me. She'd humiliated me in front of the entire family, and then cut me off like I didn't exist. My hands were shaking as I called her. She picked up after a few rings, her tone infuriatingly casual. "Hey, Clara, what's up?" "What was that message?" I demanded, my voice trembling. "You told everyone I shouldn't expect expensive gifts because you've done enough for me. I just gave you $10,000 last month." She laughed, an airy, cruel laugh that I hadn't heard before. "Oh, that. Don't take it so seriously. You know how family is. They need to see success appearances, you know. I just said it to look good." "To look good," I repeated, stunned. "Yeah," she said. "People think I'm the generous sister supporting her struggling sibling. It helps the image of my boutique. I didn't mean anything personal." For a moment, I couldn't speak. My throat tightened. "You lied about me? To everyone." "Oh, come on," she said. "You barely talk to the family anyway. Who cares what they think?" I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. My heart was pounding, my vision blurred. I called my mother. She answered on the third ring. "Clara, what's wrong?" "You saw what Melinda wrote in the group chat, didn't you?" Mom sighed. That heavy, weary sigh that meant she was about to take Melinda's side again. "Yes, but don't make it a big deal. You know your sister likes to impress people. She didn't mean any harm." "She humiliated me in front of the whole family," I said. "She called me a failure." Mom hesitated. "Melinda just wants to protect her image. You know how sensitive she is about her business. Try to be understanding." Understanding. Always that word. Always for her, never for me. I ended the call and sat in silence, the glow of my laptop casting long shadows across the room. I felt hollow. Then my phone buzzed again, a message from my cousin Sarah. "Clara, you should see what they're saying after you got blocked." Attached were screenshots, lines of text, one after another like knives. Melinda's name appeared over and over. Poor me. I've been supporting her for years. Clara's business is failing. She doesn't even have money for food sometimes. She spends all day on her computer and still can't make it. I'm tired of giving her money. She just doesn't get it. Each sentence pulled the air out of my lungs. And then the replies, sympathetic relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, all nodding along, praising Melinda for her kindness. "You're such a good sister, Melinda. Clara should be grateful she has you. It must be hard supporting someone like that." I felt my stomach twist. My hands trembled so badly that I almost dropped the phone. Sarah's last message read, "I thought you should know. She's making you look like a parasite." Parasite, the word stuck. I put the phone face down, then just sat there in the dark. My thoughts spiraled the office I'd bought, the years of bills I'd paid, the loans I'd given her, the nights I'd stayed up late coding while she bragged at family dinners. And now she'd rewritten history, cast herself as the hero and me as the helpless loser. A memory surfaced. I was 12, standing in our kitchen, watching Melinda cry because she'd broken my new headphones. She told Mom that I made her feel guilty, and somehow I ended up apologizing. That's how it always went. Melinda hurt people, cried, and got comfort. And I cleaned up the mess. But this time, something inside me cracked. I went into my bedroom, grabbed the small safe from under my bed, and opened it. Inside were 3 old notebooks. My early budgets, invoices, loan records. Every dollar I'd ever lent her was written there. I flipped through the pages until my eyes burned. 3 years, over $70,000. I pressed my hand to my chest, trying to steady my heartbeat. The betrayal wasn't just financial, it was spiritual. She had stolen not just my money, but my dignity. When dawn broke, the light felt different, colder. I made coffee, sat at my desk, and stared at my computer screen. My hands hovered over the keyboard for a long time before I opened my email and searched for an old contact, Robert Hayes, my lawyer. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to be the quiet one. I wasn't going to let her win. My own blood had turned me into a villain in front of everyone. That's when something inside me snapped. By the next morning, my decision was made. I was done being the background character in Melinda's story. The first thing I did was call Robert Hayes, the lawyer who'd helped me buy the office 3 years ago. He answered on the second ring, his voice calm and measured the way lawyers sound when they've seen every kind of disaster before breakfast. "Clara," he said, "it's been a while. What can I do for you?" "I need to evict a tenant," I said flatly. "She's been using my office space for 3 years without paying a single cent." Robert paused. "Without a lease?" "No lease, no payments, just promises." "Then it's simple," he said matter-of-factly. "You're fully within your rights. I'll draft an eviction notice immediately. She'll have 30 days to vacate the property." "Make it official," I said. "Send it to her email and physical address. I want her to see it." There was a quiet hum on the line as if he was nodding. "Consider it done." When I hung up, my hands were shaking again, but not from fear, from adrenaline. For years, I'd been this sister who kept the peace, the one who absorbed every insult in silence. But now I was the one holding the pen that could rewrite the story. That same afternoon, I opened my banking app. It took only a few clicks to find the automatic payments I'd been making for Melinda, her car insurance, her 3 credit cards, all tied to my account. Each one a quiet act of loyalty she'd never once acknowledged. I scrolled to the first auto pay, Melinda's insurance, $289 month. Cancel. Then the first credit card, $120, $100. Cancel. Second, $95, $100. Cancel. Third, $170, $100. Cancel. Each click felt like cutting a string that had been wrapped around my throat for years. When the final confirmation appeared, "Your changes have been saved," I exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. By evening, Robert emailed to confirm the eviction notice had been sent. It was done. For the next few days, I waited. No calls, no texts, no storm of accusations, nothing. I started to think maybe she hadn't checked her email yet, or maybe she was pretending it didn't exist, something she was very good at. Then on the 4th evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. The area code was local. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. "Hello." "Hi, Clara. It's David, Melinda's husband." His voice was tight, polite, but uneasy, like he was trying to stay calm. We'd met only a handful of times, mostly at family dinners, where Melinda clung to his arm like a trophy. "I hope I'm not calling at a bad time," he continued. I just opened a letter addressed to Melinda. It's from your lawyer." My stomach tightened. "So you've seen it?" "Yes," he said slowly. "The eviction notice. I'm honestly shocked. Melinda never mentioned she was renting that space from you. She told me it was hers, that she owned it. She's been running her boutique there for years, and I believed her." I took a breath. "David, that office is mine. I bought it with my own money 3 years ago. Melinda begged to use it for 1 year because she said her location was bad. I agreed, but she never left. And not only that, I've been paying all the bills. Utilities, property tax, everything." He was silent for several seconds. I could hear his breath on the line, shaky, disbelieving. "She told me she was the one helping you," he said finally, "that you were struggling." "She lied," I said softly. "I have bank records to prove it. Over $70,000 transferred to her account. On top of that, I've been paying her car insurance and her credit cards automatically every month." I need to see that," he said. "Can you send me proof?" "Of course." After we hung up, I gathered everything. Years of bank statements, highlighted transfers, payment confirmations. Each document was a record of my misplaced trust. I attached them to an email and hit send. 10 minutes later, he called back. "I've just seen the files," he said, his voice darker, now steady, but laced with quiet fury. "She's been lying to me about everything. About the boutique, about the money, about you." He took a deep breath, then added, "I need time to figure out what to do. But thank you for being honest." When I hung up, I sat there in the dark phone in my lap, staring at nothing. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. He sounded like someone who'd just realized the floor beneath him wasn't solid. I knew that feeling. The next morning, my phone lit up again, this time with Melinda's name. I answered, expecting silence. Instead, I got fury. How dare you, she screamed before I could say a word. You had no right to tell David anything. You ruined my marriage. Ruined your marriage, I said, my voice low and steady. You did that yourself, Melinda. I just told the truth. You always wanted to destroy me, she shouted. You're jealous because my boutique. Your boutique doesn't exist without my money, I cut in. You've been drowning in debt for years. I've been paying your bills, your insurance, your credit cards. I've given you $70,000 in 3 years of my life. And then you humiliated me in front of the entire family. For a moment there was silence. Then a small broken sound. She was crying. You don't understand, she sobbed. I just wanted them to be proud of me. Everyone always looked down on me compared to you. I needed to show them I was successful too. Her words hung between us, soft and pathetic. For the first time, I didn't feel guilt, just exhaustion. I understand perfectly, I said. You built your success on lies, and I built mine by working. That's the difference between us. She cried harder, but I didn't comfort her. Not this time. I hung up quietly. A few hours later, my phone rang again. Mom. Clara, she shouted the moment I picked up. What have you done? Your sister called me sobbing. You're tearing this family apart. I'm fixing what she broke, I said. She's your sister. And I was her wallet, I replied coldly. Not anymore. Families should help each other, she said, voice trembling with anger. I did help, I said, for 3 years. $70,000 worth of help. Now it's her turn to grow up. I could hear her inhale, sharply speechless for once. Then she hung up. That night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Melinda's voice, David's shock, my mother's outrage. Somewhere deep inside me, the fear that had ruled my life, the fear of being the bad sister, the ungrateful daughter, was gone. In its place, there was only calm. When David hung up, I realized for the first time Melinda would have to answer for her lies. I should have known peace wouldn't last. 3 days after the last phone call, Melinda exploded, not in private this time, but publicly, on her social media where appearances mattered most. The post was long, melodramatic, and full of half-truths. My sister is going through a breakdown, she wrote. Please pray for her. I'm worried about her mental health. She's making irrational decisions and pushing family away. I hope she gets help soon. There it was, a performance dressed as concern. She made herself the compassionate one, and me the unstable villain. When I read it, something cold settled in my stomach. I clicked on the comment section. My relatives were already responding. Oh no, poor Clara. She's always been fragile. You're such a good sister, Melinda. Stay strong. Family is everything. Don't give up on her. I sat back in my chair and laughed a dry, humorless sound. Then I opened my laptop. If she wanted an audience, I'd give her one. Within half an hour, I posted my own statement. Calm, factual, merciless. For the past 3 years, I've supported my sister financially, while she claimed to be a successful business owner. I paid her office rent, utilities, and debts over $70,000 total. Attached are verified bank statements and receipts. Draw your own conclusions. Below the text, I attached a PDF, every transfer, every date, every cent. Then I hit post. Within minutes, the silence shattered. Notifications poured in, hundreds of them. Shock, disbelief, guilt. I had no idea. Melinda told us the opposite. I can't believe she lied about everything. Even people I barely knew messaged me privately. Some apologizing, others admitting they'd always suspected something was off about Melinda's picture-perfect stories. But not everyone was apologetic. My Aunt Linda, my mother's older sister, left a comment that cut through the noise. This family needs to talk face-to-face. No more posts, no more sides. We'll meet this Sunday at my house. Everyone comes. No excuses. I stared at it for a while. Then I typed a single reply. I'll be there. Sunday evening. When I walked into Aunt Linda's living room, it felt like stepping onto a stage I'd never wanted to perform on. The air was heavy, thick with unspoken judgments. Melinda sat on the couch between our parents, her face blotchy from crying. She didn't look at me. Around the room, uncles, aunts, and cousins sat quietly, some avoiding eye contact, others curious. Aunt Linda stood at the center like a referee before a family war. Thank you for coming, she began softly. This has gone too far. We've all seen what's been said online, but tonight we talk honestly. No shouting, no pretending. She turned to me first. Clara, you started working young. You've always been independent. Can you tell us calmly what happened? I nodded, my palms damp. 3 years ago, I bought an office for my programming business. Melinda begged to use it for 1 year. She never left. I paid all the bills and gave her money, over $70,000. Then she humiliated me publicly and lied to the family. That's the truth. My mother shifted uncomfortably. My father looked down at his hands. Then Linda faced Melinda. Is that true? Melinda's lip trembled. Yes, but I didn't mean for it to get this bad. A stunned silence followed. I just wanted everyone to be proud of me, she whispered. Clara's always been the smart one, the successful one. Every holiday, everyone asks about her projects, her team, her new clients. I just wanted to feel like an equal, so I said things that weren't entirely true. Not entirely true, I repeated, unable to stop the bitterness in my voice. You told everyone I couldn't afford food, Melinda. You told them you were paying my bills. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I know, I panicked. When people started praising me, it felt good, and I didn't know how to stop. Across the room, David, her husband, finally spoke. His voice was low, steady, and sharp. Melinda, he said, you didn't just lie. You built a life out of lies. And now we all have to deal with the wreckage. She wiped her face, sniffling. David, please. No, he interrupted. Listen, I believed every word you said. I thought you owned that office. I thought you were successful. You made me proud to stand beside you, and you made me look like a fool. The room went dead quiet. Even my mother didn't dare interrupt. Then he turned to me. Clara, I owe you an apology. I should have known sooner. I'll make this right. I'll repay every dollar, even if it takes years. Melinda's sobs grew louder. David, please don't. He looked at her, his tone firm. If you want this marriage to survive, things change. Starting now. He listed them one by one like commands. You'll sell the boutique inventory. You'll get a real job, something steady. We'll sell the SUV. We'll live simply. And every month we'll pay Clara back $500 minimum until the debt is cleared. Melinda's shoulders shook as she nodded through tears. For the first time in years, I saw her stripped of charm, excuses, and theatrics. Just a frightened woman cornered by her own lies. Aunt Linda placed a hand on her shoulder. The truth always comes out, sweetheart. It's better to face it now than let it eat you alive. I said nothing. There was nothing left to say. When the meeting ended, everyone left quietly. No hugs, no goodbyes. Just the soft creak of the front door and the echo of truth finally spoken aloud. As I stepped outside, the cold evening air hit me like a baptism. The world looked sharper, cleaner. For once I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad, just free. As she sobbed, I did not feel triumph, just an empty calm. Justice didn't feel like victory. It felt like release. 2 weeks after that family meeting, Melinda moved out of my office. I arrived early that morning, parked across the street, and watched her through the glass window as she packed. There was no audience now, no charm or tears, just silence, and the scraping sound of clothing racks being dismantled. Her once successful boutique looked hollow, stripped of its illusion. I didn't step inside. I just waited until the moving truck pulled away. When she was gone, I unlocked the door and stepped into the space that had once been mine and finally was again. Dust coated the shelves. The air smelled faintly of perfume and stale fabric. For a moment, I just stood there, letting the quiet fill the room. Then I walked to the center, turned in a slow circle, and whispered, "Welcome back." It took 3 days to clean everything: walls, scrubbed floors, polished the scent of old failure, replaced by fresh paint and lemon disinfectant. I hired a small crew to help repaint the walls a cool pale gray and replace the flickering lights with soft modern fixtures. Each stroke of paint felt symbolic, like erasing years of manipulation one brush at a time. When it was done, sunlight spilled through the tall windows, hitting the new walls and turning the space into something warm again. My office, my dream. The first morning I worked there alone, I brought my laptop, a cup of coffee, and an empty notebook. I sat at my desk, looked around, and smiled. For the first time in 3 years, I felt peace, not the fragile kind you protect by staying quiet, but the strong kind that comes after standing your ground. About a month later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, my parents stood there. They looked smaller than I remembered, like time had finally caught up with them. My father's hair had gone whiter. My mother's expression softer, almost uncertain. "Can we come in?" she asked. We sat in the living room. The silence was heavy but not hostile. My mother folded her hands, staring down. "We've been thinking about everything that happened," she said quietly, "and about how we treated you." I didn't say anything. She looked up, eyes damp. "We were wrong, Clara. We made you responsible for everyone else's happiness and never stopped to see how much you were carrying." My father reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope. 2 months ago, we gave Melinda $10,000 to grow her business, he said. Today we're giving you the same, to make things right. I took the envelope without hesitation. For once, I didn't feel guilty accepting what I deserved. That night, I used the money to finish furnishing my new office. Desks, ergonomic chairs, a large conference table, fresh plants, clean light, a new beginning. The next week, I called my team, the same developers who'd worked with me remotely for years, and told them the news. "We finally have a home base," I said. "A real office." Their cheers filled the call. By Monday, we were all moving in. Laughter replaced the long silence that had once haunted the space. Seeing everyone together, their laptops open, their coffee mugs scattered across the desks, made my chest ache with something I hadn't felt in years: pride. Real earned pride. A month later, I received a text from David. "Hi, Clara. Just sent the first $500 payment. Thank you for your patience." Attached was a screenshot of the bank transfer. He added, "Melinda's working now. She got a job as a manager at a trading company downtown. It's not easy for her, but she's adjusting. We'll send $500 every month until we pay you back completely." I read it twice, then smiled faintly. It wasn't the money that mattered, it was the accountability. For once, Melinda was doing something real. I texted back, "Thank you, David. I appreciate the effort. Tell her I hope she's learning something from this." He replied a few minutes later, "She is, slowly." I believed him. Weeks turned into months. I created a separate investment account for the repayments, letting them grow quietly with interest, a reminder of what I'd survived and reclaimed. Sometimes when I lock up the office at night, I linger by the door, looking out at the city lights reflecting off the glass. The world feels different now, calmer, wider mine. I've started saving for a house. A real one, not an apartment crammed between deadlines and guilt. For the first time, that dream doesn't feel impossible. One evening, as I shut down my computer, I glanced at an old photo pinned to the corkboard, me and Melinda as kids sitting under the Christmas tree. Her wrapped in ribbons, me holding a small handmade gift. I didn't feel bitterness anymore, just distance. Some scars stop hurting when you finally understand why they exist. I turned off the lights and locked the office. The hallway outside was quiet except for the hum of the building's nightlights. I took a deep breath, the kind that feels like both an ending and a beginning. I used to believe loyalty meant giving until you broke. Now I know real love means standing firm, even when it hurts.